All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, Penn State headed west with a record of 5-0. And when the Nittany Lions are set to leave LAX this evening, they'll be headed back east, of course, and they'll still be undefeated. We saw Penn State slug it out this afternoon with USC at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. And the Nittany Lions only led today at the beginning of the game and at the end. We saw this game at the half where SC was sporting a two-touchdown lead, and they were looking like a team that could possibly sneak back into the top 25 next week. But the second half of this contest would belong to Penn State, and we saw them come out strong in the third quarter, immediately taking the football right down the field on a quick five-play, 75-yard drive, which was capped off when quarterback Drew Aller connected with tight end Tyler Warren on a 32-yard pass to make it 20-13. And of course, you're going to hear a lot and see a lot about that connection this afternoon. Overall, Penn State came back with two quick touchdowns in the third quarter to knock the score at 20 apiece. And it was one of those things where from there on, it was just back and forth. We saw USC go back ahead late in the third quarter with a Michael Lance field goal from 39 yards out. However, USC failed to capitalize. That was fresh off of a Drew Aller tipped interception that fell into the hands of SC linebacker Easton Mascarenas Arnold. But the men of Troy could do nothing with it in spite of the fact that they were set up with good field position. Penn State would come back and knock the score at 23 apiece early on in the fourth with a Ryan Barker 20-yard field goal after SC's defense stiffened. And then later in the fourth quarter, SC put together a drive that could have potentially iced the game when Kyron Hudson was on the receiving end of a 5-yard touchdown pass from Miller Moss. However, we saw Penn State come back. They went for it on fourth down. They converted, and it was capped off when the tying score late in this contest was capped off when quarterback Drew Aller connected with running back Nicholas Singleton out of the backfield on a 14-yard touchdown pass to make it 30 all. Now, okay, so there was some controversy in this game. I'm not going to sit up there and say that it wasn't. There were some questionable non-calls by the officials that worked in the favor of Penn State as far as some pass calls that could have easily been called in the Nittany Lions late. However, I'm not going to let SC head coach Lincoln Riley off the hook, and I know a lot of people are not going to do that as well. Lincoln Riley's play calling in the second half today was not good, to the point that Lincoln Riley out Franklin James Franklin. And of course, the Penn State fans are going to know what I'm talking about there. In the second half of this game, Lincoln Riley coached not to lose. Okay. However, well, let me rephrase that. He coached the game not to win. Okay. And it was a situation where USC did not need that. There was not enough aggression, bad play calling, especially on USC's last drive of the fourth quarter. SC had the ball at midfield with well over a minute to play in this contest, three timeouts, didn't utilize them. And you're basically, acting as if you're going to settle for a 50 plus yard field goal. And then, of course, you ended up not getting that. Miller Moss got picked off, and it was Penn State who had an opportunity for a Hail Mary at the end. Of course, SC got the ball in overtime, didn't do anything with it. Again, questionable non-call by the officials. However, Penn State took the opportunity, and Ryan Barker walked it off with a 36-yard field goal to give the Nittany Lions the 33-30 win out west. It was one of those where you can finger point to a lot of things for USC. And again, like I said before, it all starts with Lincoln Riley. And again, the play calling is SC was 2 of 13 on third down today. And the biggest thing for me, you look at this game, this Penn State defense really did not have an answer for Woody Marks this afternoon. 20 carries for a buck 11 as a team. USC rushed for 189. And in that second half, Woody Marks was gouging this Penn State defense. You got to keep feeding him the ball. However, Lincoln Riley at times was just in love with the passing game. And of course, the rest is history. On the flip side, I talked about that Drew Aller and Tyler Warren connection. And you look at Tyler Warren, he had himself a day this afternoon. If this was the pros, okay, the fantasy football owners would have loved him. 17 catches for 224 yards and a touchdown. And it was one of those where at some point, this SC defense had to say, you know what? Somebody else not named um, Tyler Warren has to go out there and beat us. I mean, this kid, he was like a man among boys this afternoon at the Coliseum. And of course, I talked about Drew Aller, did have 3 interceptions today. Two of those came at the end of halves, but nonetheless, he was 30 of 43 for 391 yards. And as a team, okay, Penn State put up 518 yards against this SC defense. So I'm looking at this from several different directions. If you're USC, and of course, if you're a USC fan, you can't be happy right now because the transition to the Big Ten has not been smooth. You're talking about a USC team right now that's 3-3 overall, and they're 1-3 in the Big Ten, and they have had three heartbreaking losses at Michigan, of course, last week at Minnesota, and then of course today at home, courtesy of Penn State. And the one game that USC has won within the Big Ten so far this season, it took them to rally in the second half at home against Wisconsin because remember, they were down 21-10 at the break in that one. So you look at Lincoln Riley so far, and I'm sure he has plenty of detractors that follow the Trojans. He's 22-11 so far as USC's head coach. And once you eliminate the 2022 season from things, the Trojans are now just 6-7 within conference games on his watch. No conference championship, no college football playoff appearance, and I guarantee you now you can all but omit anything that you had as far as or anybody who out there thought that USC could be a college football playoff participant this season. Because guess what? With three conference losses, and it's going to be highly unlikely that you're going to see SC get to the Big Ten championship game, you could all but pencil them in and say, hey, you know what? They're just going to play it out and try to see what they can do and salvage some type of bowl game. But nonetheless, you look at it right now if you're Penn State and outside of Michigan and Ohio State over the last 2 years, the Nittany Lions are 27-1 against everybody else. That one loss came against Ole Miss in the Peach Bowl. Their other four losses came to Michigan and Ohio State. And of course, the Big Ten has done away with the divisional format. But I know that USC was not ranked going into this game. And clearly, they're not going to be ranked after this one. But it's still a big venue against a storied program. And if you're James Franklin and Penn State, your team just passed another big test on the road. And I think that is definitely going to help the Nittany Lions into the second half of the season. You look at it right now, and you're looking at Penn State. They came into this game ranked fourth overall. They're clearly going to move up because Ohio State's playing Oregon right now. Somebody has to lose that game. So Penn State's probably going to be number 3 in the nation when the polls come out for tomorrow. And you're looking at the second half of the season. They've got themselves a bye week before they head to Camp Randall in 2 weeks to take on Wisconsin. And then they turn around and host Ohio State at home after that. Very manageable schedule the rest of the way for the Nittany Lions. So they're looking like a team that not only could make the college football playoff for the first time in school history, but also this team looks like they have the potential to get to Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship as well. For USC, and I know the fan base can't be thrilled. I know the fan base is not happy with the officials, okay, first and foremost. But then, of course, I don't think that they're happy with their head coach right now as well. And you're looking at SC, you're 3-3. You got 6 more games in this season that you're trying to salvage. They got to go on the road, cross country next week to College Park to take on Maryland. How will USC respond to that? They've got Rutgers at home, and then they're at Washington, and basically everything after that. They keep it, close to home, if you will, for the final 4 games of the season. You're at Washington, you're home for Nebraska, you're at UCLA, and then you host Notre Dame. So I really want to see what this USC team is going to do. They started off strong, but things have clearly not worked out well for them so far as they look to transition to the Big Ten, a much more physical conference. It is the Big Ten, and like I said, some questionable calls by the officials. But at the end of the day, I'm still putting more on the play calling of one Lincoln Riley in this one. So if you're Penn State, long trip out west, you know that is to be expected. Now in this expanded coast to coast Big Ten, you pass that test, you're 6-0, you're a top five team. And let's see if the Nittany Lions can finish this off and get their first college football playoff berth in program history. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.